So hello everyone. Today I'd like to talk with you about how yoga can help us to unlock our purpose. And first of all, it's super important these days, more important than ever, to practice yoga. And by yoga I mean not just asanas, that means the physical postures, but much more pranayama and meditation, because meditation is really the goal of yoga. That's how it is. If you do not practice meditation, then you're basically doing just a little bit more than conscious gymnastics, but nothing else. And really, it's so important, especially in these times where we as human beings really have unlearned to be intuitive, where the outer world is so loud and there's so much inspiration to get from the outside. So we are basically not able anymore to access our inner inspiration, to really know or source our innate wisdom. And this is actually the place, basically, when we are on the yoga mat to be able to do that, to connect back to our intuition, and the intuition is basically connected to higher consciousness. And why is that important? Because we're all basically, as human beings, we're all finite and infinite beings, and our infinite part is basically our soul, and our soul is here in this body, basically, in order to fulfill a purpose, in order to fulfill certain things in this life. And that's why we've been gifted a body with this amazing constitution, with certain character traits, and with the certain set of chakras, and also like how the body is built and everything, which is basically really the perfect constitution of for us to be able to do what we are meant to be doing. And basically what is missing, or what we're missing these days, is basically bringing things together, like knowing what am I going to do with this amazing body now? So why am I here, and what contribution am I making in this world? And this really requires us to tap into who we really are, into our true essence, and really gain this knowing of why we're here. And yoga is basically the practice to do so during meditation. When we meditate on our heart, when we meditate on the third eye, when we come into our bodies, when we activate our feeling bodies again. Because most of us are really numb in our bodies, really not sensing, not intuitive, not really feeling. And that's why basically our compass does not work. We've been trained to take our decisions rationally, like rationalizing ourselves into our profession and all that stuff. Or like also looking on the outside and not trusting ourselves, and really seeing what other people are doing. Okay, that works for him or for her, so I'm gonna do the same. And that's actually how it does really not work. And that's why it's so important to really make space, to become silent, to be with ourselves, and really to understand who we are, and from there trying to find our role in this, or our place in this life. There is this famous quote of, if you do not bring forth what's within you, it will destroy you, and if you do bring forth what's within you, it will save you. And that's exactly what's happening. There's so much disease on the outside here in this world, because no one is really living, or only very few people living in alignment and really living their true design and expressing their essence. And then also we've been planted in all those fearful thoughts and doubts. Am I good enough? Can I do this? And this is another basically big thing that we are facing when we really unlock this flame in our hearts, this passion, this idea of what we could be doing in our lives, and then in the end maybe not doing it because we think we are not good enough, or we don't trust ourselves enough. And that's also an important part of our yoga practice, to really use this practice to raise our energy, to let go of all the limitations that we've been programmed to, basically. And when we for example look at the plants, for example, they've been given this core idea of consciousness, or the seed of consciousness, and the idea of what they should become. So look at all those plants and trees or whatever. It's been so clear. The seed has been planted, and it's clear that they become a tree, and it's clear what their purpose is. Just with us humans, it's basically we've been given this idea, the seed of this idea what we should become, but in the end, we also have free will and our instincts. And especially free will has been so much programmed because we've just all our senses on the outside and really have unlearned to be intuitive, to turn inwards and to really derive our wisdom from within and also from the eternal source, basically, that we are all connected to. And that's why basically plants and all the other when we look around, all the other amazing beings, they all get it, but unfortunately humans don't really get it in terms of purpose, or many don't, including me for a very long time. And it's also a process. I'm still not there. I'm still evolving. I'm still every day finding a little bit more out who I am really truly, but only this leads to very, very true fulfillment if we manage to understand our initial idea, the idea why we are here. And that's basically something that we find on the mat truly. And why actually? Because sometimes we might ask ourselves, oh, isn't this unnatural to do that? Why do we have to make space on the yoga mat? Yeah, because our the world is so loud, it's so distracting, and we haven't been taught to listen to ourselves. When you're trained enough, then you can also access the intuition when you're on the walk, when you're outside. You can also receive those downloads of like what you should be doing, those insights and those intuitive pushes and pulls. But when we are not used to it or not trained, then it's really our task to become silent, to really sit down and trying to understand what's the reason of our being, for our being here. What's our purpose? What's our dharma? And it's not necessarily something that you find. It's really something that you create. That you create from all the innate insights that you're getting every day in your yoga practice, when you become silent in meditation, when you learn to communicate with your higher self, and when you also be courageous enough and fearless enough to allow yourself to be guided by that inner voice. Because what happens very often is that we at the beginning receive that inner voice, but then our mind jumps in and finds 1,000 reasons why we cannot follow that voice. That's the next step in the evolution. But that's for another video then. I hope that helps. If you have questions, I'd love to get in a conversation with you. And I hope that brought you a little bit more insights on the topic of yoga and purpose or dharma.